Hello and welcome to the FNS50217 Diploma of Accounting Pathway Student Information Session. In tonight's session, we'll be covering the Diploma of Accounting, but also focusing on some of the pathways into the diploma itself and means by which to meet the prerequisites of entry into this particular course. With me today, I have Chief Academic Officer Iona McKimmie. Iona, welcome.
Thanks, James. It's great to be here. This is a great course, especially for students who are following a pathway, but also for other students who may have an interest in accounting and bookkeeping, or be running their own business, or even working in a consultancy capacity. So there's a whole range of different reasons why we might study a Diploma of Accounting and follow the Diploma of Accounting pathway.
Excellent. So look, with that in mind, let's jump into our first slide tonight and have a look at the course outline, a little bit of the background, and of course, some of the key competencies and skills that the course and I suppose the greater pathway, which also includes the skill set, should students choose to take that on, deliver.
So students are able to study the Diploma of Accounting pathway by completing the accounting principles skill set and then moving on to study the full Diploma of Accounting. The accounting principles skill set is made up of units that introduce students to the concepts and some of the topics that they'll be studying in the Diploma of Accounting. And the principles skill set actually prepares students so they're able to work in their course at the correct level for a Diploma of Accounting. So the course itself, from end to end, it compromises or encompasses a number of different areas of management accounting, but it also touches on some tax accounting as well. We also look at some accounting and bookkeeping and working effectively in the accounting and bookkeeping industry and what that means to us in a whole lot of different ways. So the course looks at financial and business performance information, how to use accounting dashboards, how to create reports, the creation of and use of operational budgets, because that's very, very necessary for all organisations from a financial management perspective. Preparation for annual financial audits. A lot of organisations that we might work with in different capacities in the accounting sector undergo annual financial audits, whether they be internal or external audits. Preparation of tax documentation for individuals is also introduced in this course. Management accounting information, and as I mentioned just before, working effectively in the accounting and bookkeeping industry. In just a moment, I'm sure we'll take a bit more of a deeper dive into each one of the units in the course. But part of working effectively in the accounting and bookkeeping industry is understanding our role. So we look at ethics and we look at continuous professional education and the requirements for that, and how we actually go about undertaking our work in the accounting industry.
I think that's a really interesting point, is that idea of working effectively within the industry and having a good grasp and developing a good grasp of the accounting function and essentially, as you said, obviously the ethical requirements that go with it, but then how it may in fact interact with other business units and operations that form part of a greater organisation. Now, we've talked a little bit about the skill set. Now, the skill set itself forms part of the entry requirements should students choose to take that particular pathway into the Diploma of Accounting, because the FNS 50217 by itself isn't necessarily a direct entry course. And there are a number of ways that students can be eligible, of course, to gain entry into that. Now, taking on the skill set, which forms part of the pathway, of course, is one option. Otherwise, we do, of course, have a number of students who will complete the FNS 40217, which is the Certificate for an Accounting and Bookkeeping first, and then use that as a prerequisite for entry into the course. What else do we need to know about this sort of stuff, Iona?
So, as you mentioned, this course does require that students have completed the either of these two options for entry into the course. But we also ask that students are over 18 at the time of their commencement of the course. students need to have a really strong grasp of computer and technical skills. As part of this course, students will be installing software, and they will be using accounting software throughout their course. So they also really need a reliable internet connection, a computer that is capable um, running the MyOb software that's provided with the course for students. But they'll also need adequate literacy and numeracy skills of around about year 11 um, level on entry to the pathway, whichever pathway that they've chosen to enter the Diploma of Accounting.
Excellent. Now, earlier on, we made mention of the specific course units that make up the course, and then, of course, the skill set that forms part of the pathway, if that's in your obviously intended process to move into the Diploma of Accounting. Let's do a bit of a deep dive into the units themselves and have a little bit of a look at perhaps some of the content that's in them and some of the reasoning as to their inclusion in the Diploma of Accounting.
So, as we mentioned earlier in the session, students will complete the Accounting Principles skill set as an alternative entry pathway to the Certificate for in Accounting and Bookkeeping for entry to the Diploma of Accounting. So the Accounting Principles skill set is really about those core tasks that students and that core knowledge that students need to be able to need to be able to demonstrate in the higher level units in the Diploma of Accounting. So the Accounting Principles skill set introduces students, for example, to topics such as setting up and operating a computerized accounting system. And in this course, students will be using MyOb accounting software, which they'll install locally and use throughout the course, both in the Accounting Principles skill set and their diploma units. Completing business activity and installment activity statements, which is a monthly or a quarterly or a yearly task that we undertake as accountants in any organisation or as bookkeepers. Maintaining payroll, general ledger and chart of accounts management, and how we go about processing financial transactions, both for accounts receivable, accounts payable, and as part of our bank reconciliation and our bank feed management. So these are the things that we touch on in the, or we actually focus on in the Accounting Principles skill set. Now, as students move across into the Diploma of Accounting, all of that foundation work that we've done and that knowledge that we've gained in the Accounting Principles skill set, we build on even further. So we really start to drill down and undertake more accountancy type tasks. So we look at preparing tax documentation, managing budgets and forecasts and reporting, preparing financial reports for corporate entities, our internal control procedures, which also feeds into our preparation for audit each year as well, how to prepare and manage operational budgets and cash flows, how to use spreadsheets to create financial reports. There's a number of organisations and practices that still use spreadsheets in their day-to-day functions, and often we use spreadsheets in an accountancy perspective for all kinds of different tasks, such as reconciliations and cash flow reporting, drafting budgets, that type of thing. And we also look at effective workplace relationships. Often when we're working in an accountancy type role or even a bookkeeping role in an organisation, we touch on every aspect of the organisation and quite a number of individuals across the organisation. But as we're managing a payroll, usually in this type of role, we'd be contacted by nearly every staff member at some point, or we'd be working with nearly every staff member, whether it be the sales team or whether it be the management team for preparing reports, or whether it be payroll inquiries. It might be inquiries from our clients and our customers as well. So we actually look at how we lead those workplace relationships and how we manage those workplace relationships from the perspective of an accountant or a bookkeeper.
Look, it's and I think this workplace relationships is really important. And I certainly know when I was first studying business, one of the first things I was told was to really establish a strong relationship with the individual in charge of accounting, or certainly the accounting department as a whole, because irrespective as to what department it is that you're working in, whether it be technology or marketing or sales or whatever it may be, more often than not, you're going to have direct interaction with the accounting department, and of course, vice versa. So again, I think a really, really important unit to have in there, in addition to all the technical things as well. Now, the units that we're looking at up here in front of us at the moment really focus on the management accounting aspect. Okay, so preparing reports and then being able to collate accounting data so that business and operational decisions can be made based on that data. There is, of course, another option, though, by way of, say, a payroll specialisation, which has slightly different units, which students may choose to take on if that's, in fact, the stream that's better suited to perhaps what it is that they're doing now or where it is they'd like to move at some point in the future. Talk to us a little bit about that particular stream.
So we do have, and as you've said, James, there is an alternative stream for students who, rather than focusing on management accounting, really have a payroll focus, or they want to work in that specific area in human resources or in an accounting department. So we do have the payroll administrator electives available for students, and I strongly urge any student or prospective student that's attending the session today, or maybe watching this session later on, that if payroll is your core focus for what you want to do or what you are doing, please don't hesitate to speak to our education advisors about that option.
Excellent. What I thought I'd just briefly do as well is just provide a little bit of insight into what's going on in the industry at the moment, certainly in the accounting space, some of the application of the Diploma of Accounting, and the number of occupations which it can apply to. And by no means is it an exhaustive list, what we've got up there in front of us. But anything and everything from a financial accountant to a forensic accountant, again, which we're seeing more and more demand for. Finance managers, management accountant, of course, which we've talked a lot about, auditor, investment analyst, cost accountant. We've even seen a number of students come through who are perhaps board members for large organisations who'd like to be in a position where they can more effectively interpret accounting data that's put to them by the accounting department for an organisation of which they're a board member on. So certainly a wide breadth of applications for the skills and competencies that individuals will pick up throughout this particular qualification. And I think probably really in testament to the sort of demand that we're seeing and need for individuals who can demonstrate these skill sets and competencies and subsequent qualifications that go with it is the sort of job growth that's in the market at the moment. So we can sort of see just from June this year, job growth of 8.6% with an average salary of $70,000. So I think the real focus, though, probably more than anything, is the percentage of job growth. And particularly here in Australia, and again, it's not just large organisations, but we know that the business landscape here is made up of a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises who in turn have a subsequent increasing need and demand for individuals who are able to implement those accounting functions into their organisation so they can operate more effectively over the long term. Now, we've looked at the units. Let's have a bit of a discussion as to how they're brought to life by way of the learning materials themselves.
So students will actually move through this course in what's referred to as a sequenced course. So students will begin their study with the pathway units of competence, and then they'll move into the Diploma of Accounting units. So throughout the course, there's a number of different learning materials that are made available to students, and all of the learning materials that students need are provided to students as part of this course offering. So there are textbooks that are available that students will access in some units. There are learner guides, there are study guides. Students will also I apologize everybody. Students will also have access to virtual tutorials as well. and study support tutorials. There are pre-recorded webinars for students additionally in 2 units, and of course, as part of the study support and assessment support tutorials, that open group forum and that interaction with other students is made available for students to be able to experience and explore their learning with other students. So, as I said, there's a number of different types of learning materials, and very importantly, students that elect to enroll in the virtual tutorials have access twice a week to their educator for the course or for that unit of competence that they're studying at that time, and they're able to interact in real time with the other students that are in the course and that are studying with them.
So, having covered the learning materials, let's have a bit of a look at the assessment, which really in many respects is an extension of the learning materials themselves. And the reason I say that is that I really believe it's an opportunity to put into practice what it is that you've been developing and learning about throughout the actual learning, I suppose the course material itself. An opportunity to show off really in many respects. Talk to us about the assessment functions that are available, and perhaps probably even a bit of emphasis on the ethos that Mentor Education employs when it comes to assessments.
So we very much considered assessment just to be an extension of what a student's been learning. And as you said, James, it really is. It's a chance to show off. It's a chance to actually bring all of your learning into one task or a range of tasks as part of your assessment tasks and complete those tasks. So throughout each unit of competence that a student works through, they'll complete self-directed learning activities, which are really, if you like, practice activities that help to prepare our students for their assessment tasks. And self-directed learning activities can be a myriad of different experiences. So as students are completing the self-directed learning activities, they'll come across management analysis questions, they'll come across practice questions, they'll come across video that they need to respond to. There may be research tasks that students are asked to do as well. So there's a whole range of different types of self-directed activities. There are even a few quizzes, not many, but there are a few quizzes in there as well. So as students move on to the assessment tasks, once they've completed their knowledge and their self-directed learning activities throughout each unit, students will come across a range of different types of assessment tasks. So they may be asked to complete some short answer questions, maybe some create a presentation, maybe complete a project which has a range of different tasks in it. So for an accounting unit, students may be asked to create a budget. They may be able to ask to do some analysis of what they believe will be the outcome of the budget. There may be case studies and scenarios that students are asked to respond to, and also there may be some long answer questions as well. Commonly, students would come across 2 or 3 of these different types of assessment tasks in an assessment, and often assessments are different from one unit to another rather than the assessment tasks just being repetitive, so answer a few questions and respond to some case studies. So students will come across a range of different things, and often those the assessment tasks are those types of tasks that we would complete in the workplace in the role of an accountant or assistant accountant or a bookkeeper.
Excellent. So just to clarify then, if you were to cast your mind back a few slides where we looked at each and every one of those individual units, it wouldn't be that you'd be expected to complete every single one of the assessment tasks that we've got up here in front of us in every single one of those units. It's just in fact that it may be, say, perhaps 2 or 3 of these different types of assessment functions per units that we looked at earlier on.
Very much so.
So now, the online learning experience. I thought I'd just go over a few basic things when it comes to the requirements to get involved and obviously study the course and complete the course online. Now, the first thing you're going to want to have access to is a strong and reliable internet connection. In addition to that, access to, say, a laptop or desktop computer, and then on that laptop or desktop computer, a browser. So that could be Chrome, Firefox, your Mac equivalent, whatever it is that you choose to use. And then through that browser, you'll be able to access the student portal and then into the learning management system, where you'll get access to anything and everything that you need in order to complete the course, including learning materials, assessments, links to external resources should they be made available. And of course, the other thing that you're going to want to have access to on your laptop and desktop computer, which we will provide, is the student version of MYOB, so that you can actually work through a number of the assessments as required. Now, one of the great things about the online learning experience, particularly with the student portal being available through your browser, is that in some cases, should you like to do the reading or access some of the learning materials on a mobile device, such as your phone or perhaps even a tablet, you're able to do that. So you might, in fact, do your reading in bed, or you might do it in transit on the train or whatever it may be. So it's really, really flexible. And of course, the other thing is you can log into the learning management system via the student portal 24 hours a day. So you can make online study fit in with anything and everything that you've got going on, which may be running a family full-time, working full-time, or all of the above, all at exactly the same time, and being able to squeeze that study in whenever and however you can. And that's very much the reality these days. And when it comes to the way that we've designed the learning material and the way that it's delivered, accessibility and connectivity are a couple of things that we really, really focus on, in addition to student outcomes, of course. Now, throughout your time with Media Education, you're exposed to a myriad of support functions, really from the very beginning. And it starts with the education advice team. And what they'll do is they'll speak to you. That could be over the phone, that could be via chat, or even via email, and identify what it is that you're currently doing, perhaps what your professional goals are, and then use that information to work with you to identify what's going to be the most appropriate educational solution in order for you to get there. And in this case, it may very well be the Diploma of Accounting, as a standalone qualification, or it may in fact be the Diploma of Accounting pathway in order to meet those entry requirements. So once you've been working with the education advice team and then you're enrolled into the qualification, you're then exposed to this, the team of student support officers who are really there to help you with just about anything and everything. And it could be applying an extension to your course, because we know sometimes life happens and you might have to go away for 1 month or 2 months. There might be a family emergency or whatever it may be, and you may need to suspend your course. And you know what? That's absolutely fine. And in recognising the needs of today's learners and the flexibility that comes with it, those options are certainly available, and they're made available to you at no charge. Other functions they might help you with is setting up appointments with the education team, and also troubleshooting or helping you set up perhaps software, including the MYOB on your computer, or resetting a password to the learning management system on the student portal. And they're of course available 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, Melbourne and Sydney time, directly on the phone or via email, or again via chat. Now, in addition to the team of student support officers, we also have the education team. And arguably, probably going to be one of the most important teams when it comes to support throughout your time with Mentor Education. And I'm going to hand on over you to talk to us a little bit about the education team, the sort of support that they offer, and perhaps some of the best ways to get in contact with them.
Our education team work very, very closely with our students, and students are able to actually make an appointment with their educators for their course, and receive, if you like, one-on-one support and one-on-one time. We understand that some students, of course, feel challenged returning to study after a long period of time. Others are new to study at this level. Others are new to using MyOb software, for example. So students are able to actually contact the student support team and ask for a session to be booked as a one-on-one session with an educator from the course, and then that educator will work with that student to support them with whatever their query or their issue is at the time. There's a number of other supports that we provide via the education team as well. So students are able to, of course, apply for course extensions. There is the opportunity for resubmissions of assessment tasks that educators may actually ask students to complete at some point, as well as that additional support, especially for this course with setting up the MyOb software and how to actually get started with creating a company file. So there's no charge here at Mentor Education for that additional support. And students are able to request any one of those things at any time in any unit of their course.
Now, finally, what I've got is a series of questions that we often get asked by students. And the first one is, can I get government funding? And the short answer to that is no. So all of our courses are self-funded, more often than not by students themselves, or in some cases, their employers. Now, but that said, if for one reason or another, you're unable to meet the requirements of the initial enrolment fee, we do have payment plans and options available. And of course, the best thing to do is speak with the education advice team to see what sort of payment plans and strategies can be put in place that's going to serve your needs best. When it comes to starting, you can start at just about straight away. So what we say, look, if you can get enrolment into us using the secure online enrolment portal, which you can do 100% online, more often than not, you're up and running by that particular night, of course, with the exception of weekends. But as a general rule, within 24 hours, you'll be up and running with your online course. Everything's included with the course. So everything from the learning materials to the software to assessments to resubmissions, whatever it may be, anything and everything that you need to achieve the outcome, which goes with completing this qualification, is included with the enrolment fee. The difference between study options. Now, in some courses, there is an opportunity, of course, to take advantage of the live classroom-based tutorials, where we recommend, certainly by default, students do that. However, there is, of course, a completely self-directed learning option where you may not choose to take advantage of those online classroom environments. But really, as a recommendation, great learning environment, great opportunity to become engaged, direct contact with your educator, direct contact with other students who are also in the cohort as well, and that real sense of connectivity, which is important, particularly with online learning. The course is nationally recognised in all states and territories around Australia. The prerequisites we've talked a lot about tonight, but if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to contact the education advice team. And when it comes to how long do people usually take to finish, well, again, it's going to depend on the structure of the course that you're working with. So for the full pathway, we're looking at 18 months, but it may be that you spend more time each week and finish a little bit sooner, or it may be that other things happen, as we said, where you need to suspend your course for a month or two. So and it may take you a little bit longer. So really you want to work towards kind of the 18-month time frame for the full Diploma of Accounting pathway. Bit of background on us. Mentor's been delivering education in the financial services, accounting, business and project management space since 2003. And in this time, we've probably fair to say we've developed a fairly good grasp on what it comes to when it comes to delivering student outcomes with respect to delivering online education and learning. And the student outcomes that we had from last year, we're expecting this year's to come out very soon, are up here in front of us. And I know I'm going to hand on over you to talk to us about what some of these numbers have been.
Thanks, James. Every year, the National Centre for Vocational Education and Research undertake a survey of all vocational education students in Australia. And in 2020, this is what our students said about us here at Mentor Education. So 92% of our graduates were employed or enrolled in further study after training. 91.6% of our students were satisfied with the overall quality of their training. And importantly, 90.2% of our students were satisfied with their assessment, and 86.5% of our students would recommend us as a training provider. The result, what our students say about us really exemplifies the high level of support that we provide to our students, but also our level of engagement with our students and their goals and their aspirations. We know that when students enroll with us, they have a particular goal, and they really want to complete a course that's going to be meaningful and support them out there in the wider world of work, especially in terms of employment and further study. So I would say that the numbers that we can see here that are the results of what our students say about us truly exemplifies, and it truly demonstrates that we're supporting our students in the most positive way that we can.
And finally, if you'd like more information on what it is that we've talked about today, head on over to the website. So mentor.edu.au. And check out the FNS50217 Diploma of Accounting Pathway course page, and you'll be able to download a course guide which will have anything and everything that we've talked about today, plus more, including detailed information on all of the units that we explored a little bit earlier on. Otherwise, email us direct. So courseconsultant@mentor.edu.au. Submit an inquiry to the Education Advice Team. It might be a question, it might be a request for a brochure to send directly to your email, whatever it may be. Again, they're there to help you. Or give them a call on 1300 306 146. And again, that's between 9 and 5, Monday to Friday, Melbourne and Sydney time. And of course, now for those who've got your smart devices handy, your QR code scanners, scan that QR code up there on the screen, and that'll take you directly on over to the Diploma of Accounting Pathway page. Iona, thank you so much for your time tonight and joining us.
Thank you very much, James, and I look forward to seeing our potential students in class with me in the Diploma of Accounting.
Excellent. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in. As always, take an opportunity to excite your potential, and we look forward to seeing your students very soon.